Hey guys, your assignment for today while I'm gone is to complete the second 6 weeks review for your final exam. So in this video, I'm going to be going over most of the problems in the assignment, but as you're going to see as we move along is that I have typed in some hints on the side here in blue that will hopefully help you when you're solving them on your own, either with using Desmos or things that are important to remember. You are welcome to pause the video so that you can write the hints down. You can also fast forward, rewind, and then come back to the video if you need to. So let's get started. In the review, we're going to look over linear inequalities, equations, and systems of equations. So in linear inequalities, remember an inequality is a statement that says two things are not equal. So we use symbols like the less than equal to symbol and the greater than or equal to symbol to demonstrate what those two quantities are. When you have the less than or equal to symbol, your lines are going to be solid, and that's determined by this dashed line here that tells you that every point in that solid line is a solution. Less than tells you to shade below. Greater than or equal to, you have a solid line, but you shade above the line. Less than, so there's no equal sign here, so this will be a dashed line. It'll look something like this. You shade below. This is also a dashed line, and you shade above. So the thing that's most important to remember is that a point on a line is included in the solution set only if the line is solid. So if you have a point on a line and the line is dashed, it is not your answer. Let's look over to number 2. Before we do that, I just want to mention here, for number 1, you type the inequality on Desmos, choose the graph with the correct line and the correct shaded area. So not only do you have to pay attention to how the line looks, so dashed or solid, you have to pay attention to where the graph is shaded. So be very careful with that. Okay, on number 2, it says the graph of 2x minus y greater than or equal to -5 is shown on the grid below. Which ordered pair is in the solution set of this inequality? You can use Desmos. We're going to type in the inequality first, then we're going to type each point and check if the point is in the shaded area or on the solid line. At this point, you can either pause, do it yourself, or if you feel like you know how to do this, you don't have to watch me work through it. If you need some extra help, then I would keep running the video and watch me how I type in this stuff onto Desmos. So, which ordered pairs in the solution set? Open up Desmos, and let's type it in. So we have 2x minus y is greater than or equal to -5. Here's the greater than or equal to symbol. -5. Okay. On the graph, you can see that the function is shaded below, even though we have a greater than or equal to symbol. And that's because this function has an x and a y on the same side. So if y was left by itself, you would have the opposite symbol. Desmos graphs it for us, so we don't have to work it out. But here's the graph. And then your options are the points. Sorry about that. Your options are the points -5, 0, so look at your graph. Is -5, 0 in the shaded area, you can see that it is not, so that's not your answer. And then 0, positive 5. And you can see that this point is on a solid line, and because it's on a solid line, then it is a solution. Our answer is B. Okay. Equation. So what does it mean to be a solution to an equation? A solution makes an equation a true statement. You can isolate the variable using algebra, or you can use Desmos. And I'm going to push heavily that you use Desmos on these, especially for a test like your final. So I'll demonstrate number 3 just so you have an example, and use number 3 to answer questions 4 and 5. What is the solution to 9 plus 4x minus 3 equals 3 times x plus 1? You're going to type this into one box and this into the other. Again, you can do the same thing. Watch me on Desmos, or you can fast forward if you feel like you know how to do this. Okay, so on the first box, we're going to type in 9 plus 4x. 9 plus 4x minus 3. And in the second box, we'll type in 3 parentheses x plus 1. Close the parentheses. Take a look at your graph. You're looking for the point where both functions touch. You're at -3, -6. Your answer is the x value. So it's going to be -3. -3, -3. Okay, do numbers 4 and 5 in the similar fashion. Make sure you're typing it in exactly the way that it shows. If you have 2 lines that cross one on top of the other, then it will be infinite solutions. But I'm not saying that's the answer, but I just want to let you know that that's how you know it's infinite. If you have 2 lines that are parallel, they have the same slope and different y-intercept, then they're never going to touch, so you won't have a solution. Sorry. Okay, question 6. Mr. Richardson has deposited $350 in a vacation savings account, and he's going to add $50 to the account each month. $50 each month. Which function shows the relationship between y, the total amount of money in the account after x months? So he starts with $350, and then every month he's going to add $50. The key word here is the word each. It tells you that for every month x, he's going to put in $50, so this is your slope. And the only one that matches would be this one. It doesn't matter where the x variable is. You can have y equals b plus mx, where you have the slope and the x value on the right hand side, and it's the same thing as y equals mx plus b. Okay, 6, let's see, number 7. I'm going to let you work this one out on Desmos, but I did want to mention that all you have to do is graph each answer choice. So you come here, graph each of these on Desmos, and then you can see which one matches the graph that's shown. But if you know what a positive slope and a negative slope looks like, so positive slope looks like this, and a negative slope looks like that, then you can eliminate some of the answers, and that way you don't have to type all of them into Desmos. So if you look at this line, it has a positive slope. And so for point slope form, because each of these answers are in point slope form, then your slope is this one. So C and D are out because they have a negative slope. So type each of these into Desmos and see which one matches with your line. Okay, number 8. I'm going to let you do this one on your calculator. Stat edit, plug in the points from the table, press stat calc 4, and then you should get your linear regression. Linear regression. It's not exponential, so don't use stat calc 0. Linear regression, stat calc 4. Okay, systems of equations. It says, what is a system of equations? 2 equations with 2 variables. How can you identify the solution of a system of equations from a graph? It's the point where both lines will touch. How can you identify the solution of a system of equations from a table? The 2 tables will show a common point. Okay, here you're going to draw the representation of a system of equations with 1 solution, no solution, and infinitely many. If it has 1 solution, you'll have 2 lines. And your solution is the point where the 2 lines touch. If it has no solution, your lines will be parallel. They'll have the same slope, different way, and they will never touch. And if you have infinitely many solutions, you will only see 1 line, but it's actually 2 lines, one on top of the other. Okay, Zachary caught 20 trout and bass while on a fishing trip. So this is one of the ones that we struggled with in class. So we're going to go over this one. 20 trout and bass together. Remember to organize your information. So 20 trout and bass, those are fish, while on a fishing trip. The total weight of his catch was 112 pounds. So you have 2 different totals. One total's for fish, one total's for the weight. The average weight of a trout was 3.5 pounds. So 3.5 pounds for the trout. And the average weight of a bass was 7 pounds. 7 pounds for the bass. Which system of equations can be used to find x, the number of trout? So they want you to use x for this one and y for this one. First thing you want to do is check to make sure that the numbers and the variables match. In this case, they're all going to match with the number of pounds. 3.5x plus 7y has to be equal the number of pounds, because the 7 and the 3.5 are talking about pounds of fish. When you add up just the variables, you're talking about the number of fish that Zachary was able to fish. So that would be 20. And like I previously mentioned, whenever you have just the letters being added, it's always going to be the smaller total. So the correct answer is going to be B. All right, number 11. The tables of ordered pairs represent some points on graphs of lines A and L. So here, you're going to use StatEdit StatCalc4 to find the equation for line A. And then once you do that, so we can do that together. Pull up my calculator. So turn on your computer, StatEdit, calculator, not computer. Values, remember L1 is always your values. So 0, 1, 2, and then on L2, -2, 0, and 2, and then do StatCalc4 because it's linear, enter, and you have your linear regression in y equals mx plus b form. So your equation is y equals 2x plus -2, or you can say -2. So y equals 2x minus 2. Now from here, you can start eliminating some answer choices. However, if you notice here, they're all in standard form. So you have a choice of inputting this equation onto Desmos and then basically trying each one of these out until you can see which one matches with your function. So you can go ahead and do that, but I'm going to show you the drawing that we did to change from slope-intercept to standard form. So we had a triangle, and on that triangle we put each of our terms. On the lines here we have subtraction, and here we have addition. And our function says 2x minus 2. So I'm going to write y equals 2x minus 2. So it's 2x minus 2. So if we're trying to get it into standard form, we need to have the x and y together. So what this tells me is that now it's 2x minus y equals 2. So I start on this side, I'm subtracting y, and it's going to equal the final term, 2. 2x minus y equals 2. This one does not match. 2x minus 2y does not match. 2x plus 2y does not match. 2x minus y equals 2, and here's your answer. If you feel unsteady about using this, then I suggest you go ahead and type this into Desmos and then check each of these choices. Okay, go over to number 14. Audrey and Lauren went to an arcade where the machines took tokens. Audrey played 3 games of skee-ball and 2 games of pinball. You're going to assign variables first, and I want you to use only the variables x and y. So for x, I'm going to use skee-ball, and y, I'm going to use pinball. So 3 games of skee-ball, 2 games of pinball. So 3x plus 2y equals a total of 14 tokens. At the same time, Lauren played 6 games of skee-ball, so 6x, and 2 games of pinball, plus 2y, and she used a total of 20 tokens. How many tokens does a game of skee-ball require? They're asking for x. Over to Desmos, type in your system, and then the x value. X value. If they had asked for pinball, then you would be finding the y value. So let's see here. 3x plus 2y. The reason I wanted you to use X and Y is so that you can type them into Desmos. Because remember, Desmos does not take any other variables besides X and Y. 6x plus 2y equals 20. Okay, click on your solution. It's the point 2, 4. So the x value is 2. And what that means is that one game of skee ball requires 2 tokens. So you just write your answer. Okay, next page. So number 16 is a function notation question. So it says, given the function f of x equals 1/2 times x minus x, what's the value of f of negative 4? So all you need to do is take the negative 4 and plug it in for x. So f of negative 4 will be 1/2 times 6 minus, minus negative 4. Okay, and then you can simplify, you can type this into your calculator, or you can work it out by hand. 1/2, 6, this ends up being plus 4. So half of 10 equals 5. And last one, which of the following is equivalent to 5x minus 12y equals 24? Again, you have the option to type it in to Desmos. You would type in this first, and then you would check each answer choice to see which one is the same as 5x minus 12y equals 24. If you want to use the picture, this is minus, minus, this is plus. Then you have 5x minus 12y equals 24. So 5x minus 12y equals 24. And you want to change it over to y equals something. So it's an mx plus b form. So you're going to take the y value first, 12y. And that's going to equal x minus 24. From here, you need to reduce the 12. Because if you notice, your answers only have y's on them. So if I divide by 12, I need to divide every term by 12. This isolates y. 5 divided by 12 gives me 5 12s. Don't forget the x variable. And then 24 divided by 12 is 2. So 5 12s, x minus 2, and here's your answer. And again, I can't stress enough, you do not have to do this. You can use Desmos, type it in the original. I just know there's some students who prefer to do it by hand. Okay. So make sure that this gets done before your final. A large part of your final has questions that are like this. We'll have another final exam review on Monday when I come back, and if you have any questions, you can write them down and then make sure to ask me. You can also contact me through Schoology. I will be checking my Schoology in case anybody has any immediate questions. Other than that, enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you next week.